Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Good evening for the Urban Terror Nation Cup 20 podcast. This is the second iteration and this one is going to be a little bit shorter. Let me actually make sure that I got my microphone set up correctly. There we go, now it's close. And this one is going to be a little bit, as I said, shorter, mainly just due to several reasons really. First and foremost, I am quite stressed right now because I have both exams, I have courses and all sorts of other stuff I have to take care of. So with that, I don't really have the time to even get as another host for this evening or anyone to interview. But I promise you, this is not just going to be a verbal roundup of what the hell has happened and possibly just some kind of a shoddy analysis of the whole of all the matchups. I promise there will be interviews and we will try to do as much fancy stuff with this podcast as humanly possible, but not this week. I might begin to look at it at the end of this next week or something. But until then, you will have to do with just me pretty much just reiterating everything that has happened, and that is amazing. So with that, let us actually go straight into the most amazing thing about the new thing that has been disclosed about the Nation Cup, which is, let me actually just, why the hell is production through the roof when you have to talk and also do the production simultaneously? There you go, come on, turn on. There we go, cool, thank you. There's actually going to be a prize pool this season in the Nation Cup. Again, Sashka and HD Development have been so generous, actually extremely generous, and been giving 700 euros to distribute out to the winners, or the top 3, that is, of the whole tournament. So with that, the team that is going to take gold place is going to leave this whole tournament with 400 euros, and the silver in second place is going to have only measly 200. That's a lot of money. And the third place is also going to get away with a lot of money, with 100 euros. This is amazing. We really just have to thank them to just support the Urban Terror scene so much lately. Just wonderful to see, and hopefully it is also going to get more get the teams to play a little bit harder just to make sure that they can actually get to this prize money. And hopefully with that we can actually get some really good matches, which would be wonderful. And of course also the big follow-up on last week's podcast is of course discussing the whole group stage system, which the whole group stage system which we are actually going to use for this whole tournament. So 13 teams out of the 16 have ended up voting before it was closed. With that, 80% turned out to for the voting, I suppose. I mean, that's better than the US presidential election, so I guess that's at least something, right? Nevertheless, with 8 votes in favor of the Swiss format, with only 5 votes in favor of the classic point-based group system, we have a clear winner, and we have one that I'm really happy to see. We have the Swiss format that we're going to actually be using. Now, of course, first and foremost, we have to remember that this has to be managed manually by the admins. And so please don't get irritated if things don't run as smoothly as possible. They, and that is Biddle, is working as hard as they possibly can. And nevertheless, just to reiterate, for anyone who hasn't really looked up what the Swiss format is, it is really cool and it solves the one major problem we've had with the group stage, not only in the Nation Cup, but especially in the Nations Cup. So a common problem is that as we did done the groups, actually I can still show you those. So we did a draw of the groups last podcast. So we have these groups, as you can see right here. And these were made such that there was one really strong team, one semi-strong team, and 2 and one quite weak and one really weak team in each group. But with that also, there's going to be quite a hard divide in the skill, or quite massive skill gap. That's probably the way you should say it. There's quite a massive skill gap when it comes to the matchups that these groups are going to make. And there's really nothing you can do about it with any kind of a group system. I mean, at least with double elimination, which also was something that could have been voted on, you at least get somewhat separated quickly, so you get somewhat good matchups, but they aren't perfect yet, because still the high skilled ones cannot really play against the high skilled ones, because they are in different groups, and that goes for pretty much every level of skill. So with that, the Swiss format solves this wonderfully by splitting teams into pools of specific ratios of win-loss. So that means if you have a win-loss ratio currently in this group system with a 2-to-1, you will go up against only other teams who also have 2-to-1, and so on and so forth. And so with that, we will start off, of course, with a 0-to-0, and everyone will be in one pool, but then we will have the higher skilled ones separated from the lower skilled ones immediately after the higher skilled ones got the win and the lower skilled ones got the loss. And hopefully with that we can get quite quickly, at least, some after the first round, some really good matches going. And so probably these matchups at first will then still be based on these groups, where I would suppose that the fourth will go against the second and the first will go against the third, and such that that you're certain that the first and second will end up in the 0-1 pool, and the third and fourth in these groups will end up in what would be the 1-to-0 group. I am not completely sure, that would be my guess. That is at least my suggestion to Biddle of how that should be done. Probably he does also agree. If he doesn't, it's probably because there's something much better to do. So, nevertheless though, there's one problem with the Swiss format. Actually, before we go to that, I probably should say one more thing about the Swiss format. So, the way this whole thing ends is that you are qualified for the playoffs if you get in total 3 wins, and you are out of the tournament for good if you have 3 losses. Cool. With that, everything is straight, I guess. There seems to be no problems here in chat. There's just good stories here from Tifa just having a drinking game on Binding of Isaac. I mean, that could get really bad, I suppose. Every hit, every taken item getting quite out of hand. Yeah, I suppose, Tifa, that's gotta be. Jesus. Yeah. That's one of those things that's just... Yeah. I admire that. That's dedication. So, yes, I said there was a problem with the Swiss format. That is that the only way that you can actually really work with it is if you go for... or if you have 2 to the power of n teams. That means 2, 4, 8, 16 or 32 teams, and so on. Problem is, we just had 2 latecomers. We had Team Venezuela and Team Italy joining here late. And with that we have 18 teams. But Italy has been a team that has a really good history in terms of skill. They haven't come, I think, that far up. I don't have my papers yet right here, so I sadly cannot confirm that. But they've done some good... they've at least made some matchups that... matches have delivered some matches that we did not expect to go that way. Mainly in favor of Italy, actually. They kicked out some good teams, actually. Venezuela, not completely sure what we should say about them, but certainly with Italy having the possibility to make some good upsets, it would be sad to just not have them in the tournament. So for that, Biddle has chosen to do a Nations Cup qualifier. So the bottom 8 teams, based on expectations that are based on earlier results and also just the players involved and just the history, they will have to go through a qualification, which is just a pool of all the 8 teams, where they will then just play against someone randomly from that group, from that pool. And if you get 1 win, you will be qualified, and if you get 2 losses, you will be disqualified or just not qualify for the Swiss format group. So with that, the initial matchups are going to be the 4 matchups of the qualifier. We're going to have, most of these are on Urban Zone, not yet confirmed, but we should have had today Colombia going up against Venezuela. It seems like they haven't yet figured out exactly when they actually want to have that one played, so it might possibly end up being a little bit later. About this one, I have absolutely no clue which of these 2 would be the ones winning, as I have absolutely no experience or any kind of knowledge of the South American teams. I don't know that Brazil has done quite well and Argentina do too. On the other hand, we also should have possibly for 15 minutes ago starting Asia going up against Mexico, which is also something that I have absolutely no idea what is going to happen in these, which is actually really cool in a lot of ways. These qualifiers are possibly actually some of the most even matchups, but they could also end up being some of the most one-sided affairs in this whole tournament. That's really hard to say if you have a team where you actually cannot really say how good they're going to be. Tomorrow, though, the 12th of January, we are going to have the matchup that I'm mostly looking forward to. At 22 CET, United Kingdom will go up against Spain. And the reason why I'm looking really forward to this one is because United Kingdom going up against Spain is just such an amazing matchup back in the Nation Cup 18. We had a great CTF series with them, with such a close map, and it also ending in a draw where we had Turnpike and Kingpin. I think in the group stage it must have been. Was really a good one. All the maps in themselves were also really, really close. So this one is just something that I'm really looking forward to. And so I'm already in contact with Marco. He has confirmed that United Kingdom wants to play at that very time, but Spain hasn't yet responded. So with that, it's a little bit up into the air if it's going to be played at that time, but nevertheless, I really want to have that one covered if I can. The last one that is going to be there is going to be Nordic going up against Turkey. As I have actually... Yes, Texas, exactly. Matches should already start tomorrow. Actually, 2 of the matches should already have started today. So it's Colombia versus Venezuela and Asia versus Mexico. Not Asia, what the hell? God damned, I know how to say that. Jesus, my mouth. Sometimes it just does the weirdest things. Nevertheless, yes, those 2 matchups should have been today if they haven't been moved. But yeah, tomorrow, the 12th of January, we will have United Kingdom against Spain and also Nordic versus Turkey. Yeah, Nordic up against Turkey. I have played actually one session, one play session, one evening together with the Nordics. It was a best of 5. I think we actually won that one. I think we lost. I think we won. I can't remember. It was close. It was a full best of 5, all 5 maps. Certainly. I think even we won the last one. Yeah, I think we won that one by 1 round. Or maybe it was a draw. It was close though, and it was some good matches. There was certainly something to work on, as most of these don't seem to have much experience playing together normally. There was some problems with specifically coordinating, so one person was going in while 2 others were still healing up or not yet in positions, and with that 1 versus 3 dying, and then you were in a 2 versus 3 situation trying to scramble something together that could make something work, but it also failing. So Nordic have something to do, but there's a good promise that there's good material there for something good. And Turkey have absolutely no idea. So with that, this could also be a great matchup or just be a one-sided affair. Yeah, so nevertheless, if I can also catch that one, I will, certainly, because I want to be make sure that I actually am giving some positive energy for my Nordic comrades. Thank you. Thank you, Tsipa. So, Nordic versus Turkey will be scheduled to be Sunday, as Turkey don't have players for tomorrow or Friday. Sunday. That's actually perfect for me. That's perfect. Thank you. Cool. So, yes. Possibly tomorrow, United Kingdom going up against Spain. I will try to shoutcast that. It should be at 22 CET. I will, if it goes longer, I will still be there because I really want to have that one covered. And Nordic versus Turkey on Sunday. Until then, though, again, this podcast will end up being more than it is just a roundup of everything that has happened. It will also we will probably try and see if we can get some kind of interviews and hopefully also some more in-depth analysis and predictions, especially when we actually have some matchups where we can do some proper predictions compared to these ones where we just have, well, anything can happen, really. Anything can happen. I mean, even United Kingdom versus Spain, that one we've seen once before, but that one was a draw. What the hell should you then expect? Huh? So yes, thank you for watching this evening. I've been Ikslorin. The VOD of this very podcast will be up on youtube.com/Ikslorin within probably 24 hours. And yes, thank you for watching. I think that's everything from me. Hope you have a great evening. Sleep well. So, let's listen to some more music, yeah. Good night.